All right, welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine. Goodness gracious, you can tell it's been a couple of days since I've live streamed. I got flustered at the beginning, but now I am ready to show you all sketch number 9. Maybe I'm not or being tongue tied. Sketch number 9 from this past weekend's Creative Memories virtual crop. And 9 and 10 were a bit tough for me. It took me a couple of days to put these together, so I hope you all enjoy seeing what I came up with. We're going to be working with the Autumn Harvest collection, and we are going to be using vellum. So let me get things switched over here. All right. Here it is. This is the sketch. This one, it took me a little bit, not as long as number 10, but I'm going to hold it up and you can see I have a whole lot of stuff down here in the bottom corner. Lots of mat sizes and then some extra strips that I will talk about as I put them on the page. I'm also making a few adjustments, go figure. If you've seen any of my sketch interpretations, you know I kind of do my own thing a lot. But I always like to show the sketch as well so you know kind of where I'm loosely working off of. We're going to start out with, of course, I forgot to grab the border maker here. I went ahead and I punched 2 borders from our Home Sweet Home border maker cartridge, and I cut them at 1.5 inches from the top of the little houses. I am also using a sheet of our avocado cardstock that I cut in half at 6 inches, so 6 by 12. And we are using the Autumn Words as the base for this page. It has the apples on the back of the paper here. And I just thought, I wanted to show another fall look for you all. And I made sure I pulled out my vellum tape runner first because I wasn't going to do the same thing I did in sketch number 1, which was use the wrong tape runner with the vellum. So I'm going to run it up through a couple of the houses over my mat here, but it looks like it's not as nice as using the repositionable tape runner. I'm actually going to just take my bone folder here real quick and kind of punch through these openings a little bit. I'm glad I went over more of the heart houses than I did the little window ones here. So I'll just make sure to do that on the opposite side. I am going to run this across the top of the page. Basically, I'm kind of lining it up under this first row of words. So let me go ahead and put this back over on my silicone mat here, and then I'm going to show you a little bit more of what I'm going to do here in a minute. I'm kind of working side by side, which is really hard to get everything on camera here, but hopefully I've got it to where you can at least see some of it. I'm going to go over the heart houses, which turns out are the end ones here. Well, is this on that one anyways? Let's go over a couple more, just every few to make sure these little houses stay down. Put this box aside and get this back across the top of our page here. Putting the tops of the houses about just a little bit under the words again. And I just realized I forgot to shut the door to the room I'm live streaming in. So I apologize if you hear any doors opening and shutting. I think one of my kids is wandering around the house a little bit. Oh, they shut the door for me. Which was nice of them. So I have out my bone folder. I am just going to go ahead and run over my vellum because that's what you need to do is you actually burnish it, so that way you're working out the little bit of tape that might show through. I had just a little more coming up from that hurt. I'm just going to rub my finger along and move it down a bit here. This one I'm going to move up. So that way now I know my vellum is on my page nice and neatly, and I don't have to flip this over. I think that's one of the things with having double-sided sheets of paper. We're always flipping paper to put the tape on, and with cardstock, we really don't need to. I'm going to go ahead and get just a little bit of tape going through here, and then I'm going to line it up at the top of this. I want to leave about 1/4 of an inch of the vellum showing. There we go. And there's the right side of the page. And then I'm going to go ahead and add, just because I went ahead and pulled this sheet we used earlier. I had a bunch of little scraps for it. It's the one with the acorns on it. And of course, I'm holding it upside down. There we go. So this one with the acorns on it has the wood tone on the back. And I had a wider scrap that was 12 inches by an inch. And I went ahead and cut that in half to run it along the bottom of the page here. Which this isn't on the sketch, but this is what I'm doing because I thought it helped finish the layout a bit. I'm going to switch my pages just to make my life a little bit easier here. And I did use the repositionable tape on that acorn page. Just putting some extra tape on here. And now I will try to get these lined up again. Let's see here. If I can actually do this, I don't know. Well, there we go. I just kind of want my avocado paper running across the page about the same level. It looks like I'm a little bit off with my vellum, but I think that'll be okay if our avocado is kind of running along the same length of the paper. And then I've got my other 1/2 inch strip to go across the bottom of the right hand side of the page here. So, I mean, basically right now it doesn't really matter which one is the left hand side and which is the right hand side. So I am going to go ahead and start on the left hand side, putting this together, and I'm going to go ahead and move this first one over a bit so that way I can center this left side for you all. I'm going to go ahead and just show you the sketch one more time. So here's the sketch. You can kind of see where we do have, you know, a border running across here, but I've moved mine up. They do have, well, they have an 11 inch by 6 inch piece, and I did a 12 inch by 6 running through with the avocado cardstock. And then I also added this little 1/2 inch by 12 inch strip across the bottom of the page. So I'm also going to use on this left side a couple of mats. And I know I wanted this one up here. So this is one of our 4 by 6 mats from the mat pack. This is a 4.5 by 6.5 mat from the mat pack. Here's another 4.5 by 6.5 mat from the mat pack. And then this piece is also the acorn paper with the wood tone on the back. And this one I cut to 4.5 by 4.5, which is a little bit of a different size than what I traditionally do. But I thought it just worked, and it brought in this extra little element with the acorns that I just loved. So wanted to showcase it. It's something a little bit different from what I usually do, which, you know, I always love showing things a little bit different each time, give you all extra ideas. So that's what I did. And we're going to go ahead and just layer these over. I'm covering up the little dots that were on the side of here. I don't know if it's really going to matter since I'm using it for a photo mat anyways, but I just figured I'd let you know I am kind of overlaying these. So when I go to trim my photo, I will trim it a little bit smaller, or I might even just use this piece from the mat and cover the rest of it with my photo, if that makes sense. So I would be doing basically this for my photo and just kind of have this little strip showing. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Once you see me starting to put the other side of the paper together, you'll see why I may wind up doing that with my photo, because it'll help with the design elements on the other side of the page. Okay. So here's that. I'm going to add the embellishments in just a moment. I have some leaves and a pumpkin that I want to add. But first, let's get the mats onto this other side of the page. And with this one, I actually may need to bring in some of the elements with it because they kind of, well, I don't know if they completely go, but this is going to be up here coming up. And I'll show you closer in just a moment. Just want to make sure I get these where I have intended to place them. And I need to make sure this is going this way, this is going here. This is one of our embellishments from the embellishment pack. And then I've got some pumpkins and some other leaves I want to add as well. This is going to cover up part of our border, but that's okay because you're going to have the whole thing running along the other side as well. And here we go. Now you can kind of see where I was going with the little strips. These I'm kind of almost using like pieces of ribbon would go onto a paper. And then I'm going to put my photos over them. So this is kind of going to be a taller, skinnier photo as well, but I'm going to cut it so you see part of the acorns above and part of the acorns below. This one is one of our 6.5 by 4.5 mats. And I'm going to run it about 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the paper and about 1/4 inch from the bottom here so you can read the words again. So that way we kind of know. You could take and cut this whole section out from the paper and do a top and a bottom and miter it to the avocado, but honestly I just didn't think to do that until right now. So this is why I'm doing this way. Kind of going to center this strip is 6 inches by 1.25 inches. And then this one is 1.5 by 4.5. And then the mat at the top is a 4 by 6 mat. So again, this I kind of just want to have it showing here. So where part of the photo will kind of just be framed out a little bit by it. This is going to be just probably like a 3 by 4 is what's going to fit in there. So kind of a different approach to doing the mats this time. And really, you know, when they say there's no rules in scrapbooking, I love that because I do enjoy challenging myself and seeing what else I can come up with. We are going to put foam squares underneath here. This is going to be like a little leaf cluster coming down on the page, but it's going to be up so that way we don't have to worry about it when we go to put our photo onto the page. But I am going to put a little bit of repositionable tape behind this one because it's going to be a little bit of a cluster here. And then we'll put the foam squares on. I'm still finishing up my older foam squares, but the new foam squares, I do have a short on my channel showing the difference in size between the new foam squares and the old foam squares. All right, this one's going to cover up here, coming down and over. And then I also have, I have more leaves and I have a couple of pumpkins. So let me put these here. I knew I kind of wanted to repeat some of the orange. This one's going to go flat. This one's going to get popped up. So repositionable tape on to the white pumpkin that has the accenting foiled accent on the bottom here. That's going onto our mat. And then this one is going to get popped up next to it. And I'm going to cut one of these in half to get under the stem. I'm using my micro tip scissors and I'm just going to cut one of these little ones in half. So that way, hopefully it'll be small enough to fit this little stem here. And if it isn't, then we're going to cut off part of it after we get it on here. Kind of like what we do to our stickers if they stick out too far on our pages. Oh, there we go. You really can't see it. That worked out well. So just cutting it in half straight up and down. A lot of times I'll cut it at an angle because usually things are diagonal, but this one just seemed to work this way. All right, this one's going up here and they're both foiled. This one has a little bit of foiling inside. I'll show you all closer in just a moment. And then I think, I don't know if we want to pop up all three of these or if we want to leave them flat and leave our pumpkin popped. And I think I might do that. I think we're just going to go ahead and put these on. Oops, I just realized I didn't put on my, this is going to be our journal box. This one is another one of our foiled embellishments as well. And I thought, isn't that just a gorgeous element to add to this page for a journal box? I think it's beautiful. And it continues with matching the rest of the embellishments we're adding onto this page. Okay, trying to get the rest of this leaf done here. Get a little bit in the middle. There we go. Okay. So the big one is the orange one, but I want that one on the front because it really adds that extra continuity. The yellow can go behind because we have more yellow over here and we're going to have a little bit more on the opposite page. So it's okay if we cover up some of the yellow a little bit more. And here comes our orange one. Make sure it's on the page so that way our page protector can go on and over our page here. There we go. Okay. So there's the right side of our page all done. And here we go. And then let me grab out this left side again. And I have this smaller pumpkin here that I'm going to pop up as well because I don't want it to be in the way of any photos going onto the page. It's always kind of smart to make sure you're not blocking your photos because after all, that's why we scrapbook, is to tell the stories of our photos and our memories. Here we go. So this one's going down here, kind of just over this little corner between the two mats. There we go. And now we also have some leaves that I want to pop up as well because, again, I don't want it to interfere with our photos. I am going to create a cluster with these three if I can pick them up. Here we go. I'm going to get these two down first, and then we'll add this other one. I have a feeling I could use the repositionable tape on that one. I actually want to use the newer. I feel like I need an odd size for this. There we go. I'm kind of put these more in a diamond shape. It's smaller. There we go. That's the size I need for this one. And here we go here. All right. So these two are coming down from up here. And we kind of want them close-ish. I actually might put a little bit of repositionable tape on the edge here, just so that way these two will stay together nicely for me. I'm going to layer the smaller one on top of the large one, just a little bit at the top here. And then this is going to come in from up here. We're going to keep the houses that have the hearts. And there's that. And now this one's going to come in from up here through the front, because this is the one with the foiling on it, which hopefully you can see when I hold it a little closer to the light and the camera there for you. So we mostly need the repositionable tape up towards the top here. We really don't need any at the bottom because it's basically going to be up in space here because we have foam squares underneath what it's going on to. How's about that? Between this one and the next one, it took me, I think, 3 hours figuring out all these sizes and instructions, but I think it turned out beautifully. I hope you all like my interpretation of the sketch. Leave me a thumbs up if you love it. I'm going to bring in this other side of the page so you can see them side by side. Move my tape runner out of the way, move my silicone mat out of the way, and put those together so that way you all can see them. And there we go. Let me grab the sketch again real quick. So definitely worked with the vellum and worked with the embellishments a good bit to figure out how to get this all to work together. And I wanted to add a couple of extra photos to each page. I mean, even this one, you can use the top part of this mat to add a photo up here. We can place that smaller photo over here, a longer photo over here. This is for journaling. And then, of course, we have 4 photos on the left side of the page as well. And the original sketch had for 3. So I hadn't shown as many adding extra photos this virtual crop. And so I thought, why not do it now and show it off a little bit. All right, that is it for this one. Thank you so much for joining me and watching. I will be back soon with sketch number 10. Until next time.